What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel and the video review of the IF88, the 88mm micro brushless racing quadcopter by IDEAFLY. It is a really nice looking quadcopter with these four bladed purple props here, and as you can see, the flight control board and the ESC power distribution board is at a 45-degree angle to save space here so that the props don't hit it. It is a really cool design here. We got the VTX right up in the front here, and it's got its own little housing on the bottom below the X frame, carbon fiber X frame here. And this one is a FX805 all-in-one VTX, and this one has a 600 TV line. It is NTSC, and it got a 120-degree field of view, this one, and it is 25 milliwatt. It has 40 channels, and there is that single button channel changer here. Short press it to change the channels, and long press it to change the frequency. And in the back there are some LED lights to indicate the channels and the frequency there. Here is the VTX antenna all the way in the back. Now when we take a look, you follow the wire, it goes right between the two boards here, and it comes out and right into the VTX. And this quadcopter, when I first received it, there was a square piece right here inserted into this little slot, carbon fiber piece, and it had a couple of holes where the LED lights were inserted into, but I did not realize it wasn't tied down or screwed down or anything. So when I did my first flying this morning, the vibration must have knocked that little piece out. So do yourself a favor when you get this quadcopter, go ahead and put some glue to hold that little piece of carbon fiber frame down. So what I did was I just put a little zip tie to hold down the LED lights, and ran the VTX antenna wire up underneath on one of the wiring for the LED light, so it doesn't flap up and down. And this is exactly where it was, so that kind of holds it in place there. And what I also did was I put some a piece of rubber band, wrapped it around one of the arms to hold down the power cable, the JST power cable. And the battery bay is right up on here, and here is the battery. It is the 7.4 volt 400 milliamp 30C battery, and it is a very familiar battery. I've gotten this type of battery from previous quadcopters before, so I have some extra spare batteries for this quadcopter as well, so that is really nice. The flight controller is the F4 flight controller with the STM32F405 MCU with the integrated OSD and also the integrated BEC as well. And the ESCs are the 4-in-1 3-amp ESCs with 7-amp bursts, and it is the BL Heli S ESCs, and it can take 1 to 2 S batteries on this one. The motors are the brushless 1104 7500 kV motors, and although it does not have any markings, this thing's got lots of power, guys. Checking out the weight, this quadcopter comes in at 56 grams, and with the battery it comes in at 77 grams. Now the frame is a 88mm, and it is 2mm in thickness carbon fiber frame, and it is a true X frame configuration. And as you can see, right below underneath of the battery bay compartment there sits the receiver, and this one is the FR Sky receiver. There's the little bind button right up in here, and as I follow the antenna, I couldn't find it at first, but it is right here, guys. It is sticking out right over here. There's the receiver antenna, it is just bundled up all the way in there, and just a small little piece of it is sticking out. So that is the antenna for you. All right, let's go ahead and bind the quadcopter to the transmitter. I got my Tyrannus set up already with a model. I put IF88 on it. And if you scroll out from the menu and go to the page and go all the way to the bottom and scroll up here, you will come to the internal RF, and you need to set the mode to D16 because this quadcopter comes with the XM receiver, the FrSky XM receiver that's capable of 16 channels. So what you want to do at this time is get your battery here, and with one hand get it ready to push in the battery, and with the other hand down press on the bind button. There you go. And power up the quadcopter. That'll send the receiver into the binding mode with the red solid light there. And go to your Tyrannus and scroll down to the bind and enter. Okay, the receiver will flash with the red lights. That indicates a bind. So what you need to do is unplug the quadcopter and exit out from the bind on your transmitter. And the next time you power up the quadcopter, you will just have that solid green light indicating a bind. So let's see. There we go. So the quadcopter came in a box just like this here with the IF88 and the picture of the quadcopter on the outside. And on the inside, what you get is the documentation from the FrSky XM receiver here. What you also get is another battery bay holder just in case you tear that one up. And this plastic is a little flimsy, so it is a really nice thing that they did to give you an extra one here. And they also give you these tri-bladed props, the 2030 props that is showcased on the box itself. So that is really cool. And they also give you some other documentation here. And this one here is a diagram of the flight controller on the, I believe that is the top, and I believe that is the bottom of the flight controller. So that's real nice of them to give you a photo of the flight controller diagram. All right, here we are in Betaflight, and what we're going to do here is connect our quadcopter to the micro USB cable here. Plug it in. Place the quadcopter on a nice flat level surface and connect with the Betaflight. I've already enabled expert mode here. That will bring up the fail-safe page as well. So what you want to do here is calibrate the accelerometer, and it is finished. So let's go on over to the ports page. We got the ports page. The UR3 is set to the serial RX here. The configuration here, it's configured to one-shot 125 on the ESC motor protocol. I turned on the motor stop. I don't want my props spinning. The only time that it does spin, however, is when you do go into air mode, it automatically starts to spin. So I'm kind of liking that. Now, it is tilted 180 degrees here, and pitch degrees is 180, and 45 degrees on the yaw is already set for you. So make sure you note these down just in case you want to upgrade on your configuration here on the version. The receiver is set to serial-based receiver on the receiver mode, and it is set to S-Bus on the receiver provider. And there is nothing else turned on except the OSD. And you can type in right here on the miscellaneous the craft name. So I just typed in the IDEAFLY-88. That will appear on your on-screen display on your goggles. So let's go on over to the fail-safe here. It is already set to fail-safe to drop, And as you can see, I already did my modes over here, so we can check that out in a minute. Now, on the PIDs, right now I got it set on profile 3. When the quadcopter is shipped, it is shipped on profile 1, and they've already tuned it for you. These are the values that they tuned it. I've already flown with these values already. I did a line of sight flight as well as the FPV flight, which you will see in a minute. So what I've done was I went over to profile 2 and checked that out, and it is slightly different from the default Betaflight values here. They upped the derivatives to 30 and 35s. Okay, so what I've done was I just left that alone, went on over to profile 3, and profile 3 was exactly identical as profile 2. So I'm using this. I just upped the RC rate to 1.05, and that is the only change that I've made here. So I'm going to set my quadcopter on profile 3 with these new PIDs, a little bit higher value PIDs. It is almost the same thing as the default Betaflight PIDs. So we're going to do another line of sight flight as well as the FPV flight with these settings here. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now go on to the receivers page. The channel map is TAER1234, and going over to the modes page, here I have the aux1 set to ARM and on a 2-level switch here. Air mode, angle mode, and horizon set to aux2 on a 3-level switch here. All right. And if you go on over to the OSD here, this is where you can set the OSD, what you want to see on your on-screen display here. I got the craft name set up in the configuration. I got the main battery voltage, the on time, the fly mode, and the craft name is selected here. You can go ahead and select the crosshairs, the artificial horizon, the horizon sidebars and stuff like that too as well. But this is the way I like it, so it is all set up and ready to go. So if you go on over to the CLI and type in version and hit enter, it will show you the version that it has on right now, and it is the Omnibus F4 flight controller with the 3.1.7 version, April 3rd of 2017. So it is a very, very recent release that they have already set up for you. So that is really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the exit and hit enter. So we are all set and ready to go for our second line of sight flight as well as our second FPV flight. All right, let's check it out. It has been bounded and we are ready to go. Nice. Feels very smooth. Yep, I can feel pretty good, decent amount of power already. It has a little bit of a oscillation sound. So I'll try a different PID setting. This is the lower version PID setting that it came with. But you never know until you do FPV. So far it is nice. Nice. It's flying really good, actually. Very accurate. It's got enough power. I'm right around 60% throttle. Let's do a little punch out. You see the blue LED light in the back, those two little lights, pretty bright. So that is really nice. You can see the orientation of the little micro here. Whoa. Whoa. Wow. Wow. It's a lot of power, guys. It's a head jerker. Wow. Wow, these micros are really, really powerful, guys. And this one is unbelievable. Wow. Not bad at all. You know what? This is going to be a really nice flyer on FPV. It's got tons of power. Wow, that was only about 80% throttle there. See that? Can you hear that? That it actually it actually moves when I hit the throttle here to the side. It's got so much torque. Not bad at all. All right, let's bring it in and do some FPV flying with the goggles. Okay, so here is the first FPV flight, and the settings are the profile 1 with the lower PID settings that came with the quadcopter. Yeah, the first thing I noticed right away is the fisheye effect of the FPV camera lens, but with the 120-degree field of view, it is a very nice wide angle view. And things do appear farther than they actually are, but you are able to see everything that is around you. There's a flip right there, and there is some minor breakups around the tree, but that is to be expected with the 25 milliwatt VTX. It seems the profile 1 settings are very mild, and perhaps it is a setting intended for indoor FPV flying, but the IDEAFLY 88 has got a lot of power, guys, and it is actually a very nice outdoor FPV flyer, even with the lower PID settings here. And you are able to do some maneuvers on the IF88, but there is a bit of oscillations on higher throttle, but not very noticeable with these PID settings. Yep, a very nice FPV flyer, this one. All right, here we go again. We are going to take another LOS flight, this time with the Betaflight settings on the profile 2, slightly higher PIDs. What I also did was I put a little rubber band, wrapped it around the little screw for the flight controller, wrapped it around to the opposite side because I noticed that the battery does slide back and forth, and with a little bit of rubber band there, it kind of stays in place. So let's go for that little LOS flight.
Welcome to OpenTX.
Okay, we got it all set up to the model, and let's go ahead and power it up. All right, that should be ready to go. Nice. Okay. Oh, I still hear a little bit of the there, you heard that? Okay, let's see what happens to a punch out. Yeah, I can still hear that fluttering noise. Maybe it's just the props itself. We'll find out with the FPV flight. See if she is more stable. But man, this thing is quick. Man, you can lose this thing in a snap. All right. Maybe it's just the sound of the props and the motors. All right, so let's bring it in, give it a landing, and we will do the FPV flight for the second time with the Profile 2 PID settings. Okay, so here is the second FPV flight with the just about the same Betaflight default values, but with the D settings a little bit higher. And I'm noticing a little bit of oscillations right away, perhaps a bit more than the Profile 1 settings with the lower PID values. But the quadcopter feels a lot more responsive, so a definitely more performance-oriented settings, but it does, however, come with more oscillations and a little bit of prop wash. But this thing is a lot of fun to fly, and there is no shortage of power for sure. And it also seems to be sucking up the battery pretty fast as well. Yep, these brushless micros are just amazing at what they can do. With such a small size, they are simply just fantastic quadcopters. Yep, oscillations upon higher throttle. Definitely needs to be retuned. Okay, here we are at the park area with some trees with the third FPV flight. And the settings are still the Profile 2 settings, but I wanted to see how it does with some trees around. Really nice. It's a very smooth flyer with very good controls. And now the fisheye lens definitely is an asset here due to the added peripheral vision that it provides. There's a little prop wash right there. So it definitely needs to be retuned to get rid of some of the oscillations and also the prop wash. These brushless micros are so fast and agile, and they are very easy to transport in a small container or just in the box that they came in. And they provide just as much enjoyment as the bigger quadcopters, and they have tons of power as well. But this one has a lot of breakups on the video feed here, almost to a point of no visibility. And I somehow got lucky to come out of that one in one piece. Here, once again, I go too far with trees in the way and the gazebo in the way of the video transmission, and the video feed is definitely impaired. So definitely keep this one a bit closer to you when flying amongst obstacles for sure. Oh man, this thing is very fast and very quick and agile. And also, you can slow this one down and still have good controls. So it is a very nice brushless micro, this IDEAFLY IF88. and it sucks up the battery really quickly. Okay, so here is what I thought about the quadcopter right after this flight. All right, just got done flying the IF88 in the park settings over here, and I have to say, this quadcopter is very fast, very agile, with the Profile 2 Betaflight default settings with the bumped up Ds. It did very well, had no problems. But what I think it is the Profile 1 that I flew yesterday in the open field. I think that's more of a PID settings for indoor flying. Maybe it is a little bit toned down, so maybe the Profile 2s, they expect you to fly it outdoors, which it was not bad, but definitely some retuning is required for this quadcopter. And the thing is, the VTX, well, yesterday and earlier this morning in the open field, the VTX had no problems whatsoever. But out here in the park setting where there's trees and obstruction of the gazebos and whatnot, well, it did not fare that well. Some of the other micros that I've flown here in this part of the park did not have any breakups that far away from this location here. But this one, however, gave me a lot of breakups at one time. I thought I was going to lose the quadcopter because of all that static. Somehow managed to save it. And one thing I noticed too is that this battery, after you fly it, it gets very hot, guys. The motors, however, stay relatively nice and cool, even though I'm flying in the Profile 2 Betaflight settings with the 30, 35, and 30, I believe 30 and 35 Ds. The motors did not get hot at all. It's staying pretty cool, so that is one thing good. But all in all, it's a very, very nice, fast quadcopter. Very, very quick, very agile. You can control it, no problem with that. But just be careful when you're dodging trees and going farther away from your location, that the VTX does have a breakup. I don't know if it has anything to do with the antenna being on the bottom over here. Maybe it might do better if you place it up here, maybe with some kind of a zip tie and have it stick up. Maybe you'll have better reception. So maybe on the next one, I'm going to try do some kind of modification where I put the antenna on the top of the quadcopter, so there's no obstruction over here with the motors and the batteries and stuff like that. So there you have it, guys, the IDEAFLY IF88 micro brushless racing quadcopter.